just annoying. Okay, we're live now, Liz. Where did
Just
we? Yeah, it was. You were getting to the good stuff.
You were
What was?
saying, what if that person doesn't really believe the
Yes,
direction we're trying to go in? So,
good summary, Liz.
yeah, good continuity. So if you
Yeah,
think of
there we go.
the limiting belief, it's got a ceiling. There is nowhere that the subconscious mind can go with, I'm not worthy. There's nowhere it can go with that, apart from giving you more of not worthy.
Yes.
But along the continuum to I am perfect, beautiful, and worthy, there's lots of little bits along the way. So long as we open the door and move even 1 millimeter from that limiting belief, then we keep progressing towards what it is that we want. So I always really like to take a step that feels congruent and makes sense for that person. Now, sometimes someone might be willing to go from limiting belief to fully empowered, and that's awesome. But if someone's not happy to do that, then we can go along the way. That's absolutely fine too.
And Liz, like at the workshop we ran, like when I first got you to come over to New Zealand many years ago now, it feels like we saw that with my clients. So you were so beautiful and you did the special event for my clients, which was, we were so blessed and so lucky, and we're doing again, which is really exciting. But I remember watching it, especially on the beginning of day one, and just watching clients' beliefs, where they were willing to go to and where they wanted to go to and where they felt safe to go to. And then by day 3, it was like, oh, let's get rid of that one and let's get rid of that one. But they were truly believing it, because you could go at your own pace and move with your body and with so it felt congruent, I guess, and you really did believe it. Like they really believed it. It was like, okay, what is the level that you will believe? And Liz, that is where I think you are a total genius and a master. As much as you taught me to do it and you taught all of us, and like I get to teach it, you're key with the wording and the beliefs, and you just really like, you're next level genius.
I love all that. My family might not agree with you. They're like, oh, they're just words. They're just words. I'm like, no, it's important. It's really important. But I think this whole topic brings up something really good, really interesting and important about Psych K. So you're talking about people from day 1 of the workshop to day 3 of the workshop. So by that point, the process is demystified. So they kind of like understand it. So that's an important part. But one of the key differentiators of Psych K from virtually every other process that I've learned along the way is it has this beautiful permission and commitment built into it. So as a facilitator, whether you're facilitating that process with yourself or someone else, it checks in to know that this is the right thing for that person at the right time. So, everything happens for a reason, right? Me having this massive corporate conflict brought me so many gifts, and the situation was just a messenger. And once I got the message, I was super grateful for the experience, even though it was horrible, right? I think you get what I'm talking about.
Totally.
So sometimes, as a facilitator, I can have the very best of intention to do the right thing. But what's to say that I know what's right for someone else? I'm not better than someone else. So this process acknowledges that and really honors that each person is the master of their own destiny, and their higher self knows what's right for them at any one point in time. And, you will always be able to make some change. Sometimes when the higher self says, no, enough for now, it's simply the work, they've done enough work for one day, come back tomorrow and we'll do something else. So sometimes it's as simple as that. And sometimes it's kind of like, I talk about 10-pin bowls. So the Psych K balance is the bowling ball, and we can set up some beliefs at the end, and we want to wipe those beliefs out and replace them with something that works for us, that suits what we want. So sometimes the belief that we put at the head of the pins might not be the one that we're thinking first off. So sometimes we might need to just, test a few things out to find out which is the right belief. But this permission and commitment really honors the person wanting to make the change, and really gives the facilitator such a sense of peace of mind, and that this is a really safe process. I know personally I've done, one of the balances can be used for transforming stress. And I've worked with people who've had a really, really traumatic, stressful experience that the subconscious is holding on to and reliving and finding similarities in other things. And something is constantly kind of this, it's almost like a wound that doesn't heal. Whereas, you know, the sadness or something can always be there. We're not taking away the fact that an event or a trauma happened. But what we're working with the subconscious mind to say is that they don't need to live that experience now. They don't need to live the intensity of the trauma now, that they can be okay. And sometimes when people are going through a really intense transformation like that, it's emotional, right? It's really emotional, and there can be physical reactions, and whether it's as simple as crying or other kind of more intense reactions. And you know, that can concern people. Like, is that person, when I'm doing a demonstration, is that person okay? You know, the demonstration may also be really peaceful and fine. You just not sure. But I know without a shadow of a doubt that it's the right thing for that person at the right time, because their system has told me. So it gives such peace of mind as a facilitator.
And Liz, like as a ex-accountant, investment banker, I like checks and balances, right? Like that was my thing. Like accountants love to make sure the credits and the debits add up. You know, like that's my background. So that's what I love about this too, is there's so many checks and balances. Like you're always checking and you always know that it's right for the person. There is no guesswork, which like the human guesswork is taken out of all of it, which is what I love about it too, because it's like it is or it isn't, you know, like if you know what I mean, like it is just what it is. And their bodies, the client's body or our bodies, are in control of that.
Yeah.
Oh, Jackie's on. We have to say you hi to Jackie, Liz. She's going to be super jealous.
So many nice people to say hello to. And you and I, both having come from a corporate background, and I still work in the corporate world, you can kind of describe that as a very left brain thinking. Like it's very much looking for evidence of something. It's kind of a bit reductionist. Like as a left brain thing, we tend to break things down to a small level rather than looking at the holistic or the big picture. And that's another thing I really love with Psych K, because it works really well with someone who is very left brain and looking for some sort of evidence, even though it can seem like a little like, oh, what's going on here, or they're not really sure. But you can adapt Psych K to someone who's not so open to the more holistic, natural side of things. And if they are open to that, then you can take it to all sorts of places as well. So it's really flexible and adaptable and can suit whatever that person is looking for. Not suit me as a facilitator, but suit the person wanting to make the change.
So what happens, Liz? Like you now as a facilitator, what does that mean? Does that mean you run workshops? You like, what does this mean?
So doing the basic workshop, someone becomes a facilitator. You can facilitate. Facilitate means that we just don't use the term practitioner or therapist or whatever, because the person is making the change. We are just guiding them through a process. I think the word facilitator is actually a great word on a whole lot of levels for a whole lot of different things, but it's really appropriate for Psych K. The person is saying what they want to change. Their system is deciding whether it's right. And you know this process, and you are just guiding them through that process. So you can facilitate after the 3-day workshop. You can facilitate with yourself. So we do self-muscle testing as well as muscle testing with a partner. You can facilitate with family, friends, and just as a, you know, nice thing to do with not charging a fee. But you can also facilitate, you know, as part of a business, incorporating it into a business, or if you fell in love with it, you may want to do something with it just as a standalone thing, and charge a fee for that service that you're providing. After the 3-day workshop, there's a couple of things that you sign an agreement prior to the workshop, and it just spells all this out. It's really simple. There's nothing scary in it. But the 3-day workshop doesn't qualify you to teach Psych K. It qualifies you to work with clients in a one-on-one. The material that you get is copyright, and the other probably main one is that and it's the same for me. You can't use psychk.com in your URL simply because we want people, if they search Psych K, to all go to the sort of international website. That's all. You can have a page within your website that talks about Psych K. You just can't have the main URL being Psych K. That's all.
But Liz, when you run workshops, what does that look like? So when we get you to come over and work with our clients, like in a workshop facility, it's 3 days, and kind of what happens?
Yeah, so it's three full days, 9 till 5. The first pretty much half a day is listening. It's more didactic, and we set the scene. We look at the terminology we use. We understand why beliefs are important, how they shape our reality, why we would want to change things, how the subconscious mind works, why do we even end up with such limiting beliefs? And that's all about the subconscious wanting to keep us safe, alive, protect us. So we look at that side of things. And then, where did Psych K come from? We look at the left brain, the right brain, conscious mind, subconscious, superconscious, all that sort of stuff, and an understanding of the difference between the brain and the mind. So we cover off that. Yeah, it's really,
I remember.
like, I had done all this stuff on, I was a clinical hypnotherapist, and when I did Psych K, the clarity I had around the subconscious mind just went next level. It's so simple, and it's so clear.
I didn't, to be honest, Liz, until I probably did the workshop with you and then organized it with clients and like learning about Bruce Lipton. I learned about Bruce Lipton before I knew about you. So that was my first introduction. But I didn't realize how key the subconscious, like I'd been living all my years, maybe up till 28, 29, whatever I was, all those years, not really even conscious of the subconscious mind and how much it was dictating the way I lived my life, what I was doing. So having these tools was like life-changing and game-changing, and it is for clients too.
Absolutely. But, we're not taught. The subconscious is used as a little bit of, it's a bit mysterious, and kind of you just have to accept who you are. And that's just not the way it is. I mean, you can look back in history, back to the 15th century and Descartes, where from a Western perspective, church and science kind of split. So there's people looking into, astronomy and astrology and all these, and science and all these things, and the church going, well, that's fine, but you leave spirit out of it. Spirit belongs to the church, and you guys can do all this other stuff. And it's like other Eastern cultures, science and spirit stayed together. And I think for us now, what we can see in so many places is that science and spirit are coming back together where they belong, right? So Psych K is very much about seeing that these two things belong together. I've forgotten where I was going with that.
So then we were talking about the 3-day workshop. I kind of interrupted you. So the beginning part is all the learning, the theory, so that we understand it. And then obviously a lot of it is practical. Like that is the goal in having you facilitate the workshops, is that the language, you teach us so much about the language and what beliefs we could be using instead, and reprogramming. So it's a good, and I can still remember the 10 clients that we had at the first workshop together, they're still using it. Like they actually, like when they come and see me, I'll ask them and they're like, I'm so grateful that you taught me this, because it is just so practical. Like they don't always use it. They sometimes want me to do it for them instead, or muscle test them, or whatever it is in clinic, or we do other testing with it as well. But it is so practical and doable.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of it, that it's simple, easy, not going to take a lot of time. So yeah, back to the workshop. After you've got this foundation of material, then we move into much more experiential. So we will look at the 2 balances that you learn. One of them has 7 steps, one of them has 9 steps, and there's repetition across those 7
means. Right, just so we're clear, Liz, balance in your terminology at the moment is just basically two different processes, but you call them balances. One with 7 steps and one with 9 steps.
Correct. And, these two balances pretty much cover give you a tool to work with your subconscious mind forever. You just use them over and over in to whatever application or belief that you need to use them. So we look at those 7 steps one by one. I will explain it, I will demonstrate it, and then we will practice and work in pairs. Initially, we work in pairs with the muscle testing, but by the second day, we're introducing self-muscle testing. And I think that's really important. I think people really want to be able to do that as well. And I have some great information to share on self-muscle testing. It's simple, it's easy, everyone can do it.
And Liz, can you explain what happens when we do our arms like this? Because I think that's the coolest tool ever.
So you have the corpus callosum in between the left and right hemisphere. And the corpus callosum is just this massive bundle of nerves, which is meant to share information between left and right hemisphere. So obviously there's rich, beautiful intelligence on either side. When we become stressed, the corpus callosum tightens up and it stops this free communication. I mean, a perfect example is someone public speaking who is not comfortable with any sort of public speaking. And they lose the qualities of the left brain and they're stuck in the right brain. So they're hot, they're sweaty, they're shaking, and they know exactly their subject, they know exactly what they were setting out to say, but they've lost all connection to those words and that logic and that linear process. So by crossing over the body in the midline, we open up that corpus callosum and we have this free flow of information between left and right brain. So the anxiety, the stress, the trauma that can be associated with a memory, an experience, a belief, a limiting belief, can't resist this free movement of information. So it's kind of like, the actual word Psych K, we're talking about the key to unlocking our psyche. How do we get to this limiting belief and reprogram it? So yeah, there's lots of different things that people will see in Psych K. So, language, speaking in kind of a hypnotic way at times, energy meridians. There's lots of bits and pieces that you will see, but they all come together in a very unique style and way to provide this really, really simple tool. So once you learn the balances, then we start to look at things like how do you clarify something to the subconscious mind? If someone's had a very traumatic childhood, for example, they might not even know what feeling worthy or loved might be. So sometimes the subconscious is like, I don't get it. So we have a really simple way to clarify that. We also, as you've spoken about, look at the language of the subconscious mind. And the workshop works with just over 100 beliefs that are all obviously in the right language and all beliefs that are positive, that everybody would want to have. They're kind of generic beliefs, if you like, but really important to make sure that that baseline is there. Obviously, when people walk away from the workshop, they're going to want to be able to customize and make beliefs that suit their situation. So we work with how do you create your own beliefs that are in a language that your subconscious mind can understand. And once everyone has all the pieces, then we just have some more time to kind of bring it all together and go, okay, we're starting from the very beginning, going through everything to transform a limiting belief into an empowering belief. And again, we have more time to practice what that looks like. Really important that people walk away feeling confident to use the tool, because that's what it's all about. It's all, and that's another thing I love about it, that it's just really empowering people to be in the driver's seat of their own life.
It's totally empowering, Liz. And I would say, just from client feedback of everyone that did the workshop with you, everyone felt empowered. Whether sometimes they didn't want to always use it, but they felt empowered if they wanted to use it, if that makes sense. It's all very well, we can collect tools, but we actually need to use them and put them into practice. But everyone could definitely put it into practice. It was fully, you could understand it, you knew what to do. Our biggest question that's been asked, Liz, is when are you doing another workshop in Wellington for clients, and how do they find out and sign up for it?
Cool. So
I've been keeping it quiet. I was waiting for the interview before I put it in my newsletter and told everyone.
We are coming over the first full weekend of August. So it's on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It'll be in Wellington. And the way they can find it is to go to potentminds.com, which is my website, and they will see the information there and can register online there.
And I'll send it out in the next newsletter, like that I send to every client. So it will be there as well. But for anyone that wants to get in quicker, like Pip that's been messaging me, Liz, also, is there a number of people that the workshop, or is it unlimited, or what happens?
Usually, I mean, there's no sort of hard and fast, but usually we're looking at somewhere around about the 15 to 20 mark is usually where we sit. Sometimes it might be 12, but that's kind of, I think, a nice combination where I can, up to 20 is nice, where I have enough time to give to people individually and to people as a group. I think another important thing on this to share, Psych K allows you to be very private about stuff. So there is no requirement in the world.
Yeah, I wanted to say ask that too. What if you don't want to share things?
So for a start off, there is absolutely no requirement to share anything. So I'll ask people to help me demonstrate a process, but you can tell me that you don't want to do that, or that's fine. But we would be working in that instance mostly with one of the kind of generic beliefs. But even like this transforming stress that I was talking about, you don't need to tell me or anyone else what that stressful event is. We can do the whole process completely privately. Now, someone may feel comfortable to share that. That's cool too. But if they want to do the process, but they don't want to share what it's about, it can be totally private. They do not need to say anything, which, you just don't know what people are dealing with, right? And I think that's a really, again, it's empowering. You don't have to tell me your stuff. If you want to deal with it privately, personally, we can still facilitate that transformation for you, and you don't need to tell anyone.
And Liz, if people want to learn more about this ahead of time, so reading Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief, I often give out his 90-minute, I'm pretty sure it's 90-minute YouTube. Like, I always get clients to watch that because I found that personally transformational, like just understanding this. Are there any other resources? Because August, some of us are more impatient than others. I would like to learn a little bit ahead of time.
Absolutely. So, well, for a start off, you don't need to do anything before the workshop, but there are some things that I can test that are really cool, but zero pressure. You can rock up there knowing nothing about Psych K.
Nothing.
Generally speaking, it's not something that people find first. So people have there's a lot of wisdom in the room and space. People have done a lot of other stuff first, and that's cool too. Rob Williams, who's the originator of Psych K, has written a book called The Missing Piece. So it's PIECE crossed out to PEACE. You can get that online as an ebook. Very cheap.
You give that out, don't you?
Sorry?
Do you give that out? Do you give that out in the workshop? I'm sure you gave it, or did I make that up?
I probably gave you one because you're special.
Okay.
Sometimes I have hard copies of it. Sometimes I don't have hard copies, but it's expensive to get as a hard copy. It's inexpensive to get as an ebook, and it's actually a really quick, easy read. It doesn't tell you how to do Psych K. It talks about Psych K as an energy and thought form. But, it's a good, quick, easy read to give you more information. On my website, there's some links to a series of videos that Rob Williams has done, which explains some of the, what's a balance, what's Psych K. There's some, I think there's like 8 or 9 of them, and they go for about 10 minutes each. The video you referred to is awesome. Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief is awesome. But also, not everyone's a reader. If you're not a reader, just go onto your podcast app and look for Bruce Lipton. He is so generous with his time. His story, there's a common thread to his story. So just go search Bruce Lipton. There are so many people who have interviewed him. There are so many fantastic podcasts that you can listen to. And I mean, he's got such a beautiful energy. It's kind of...
Oh, doesn't he just? Like this gentle, just so, just like you just fall in love with him.
Yeah. I mean, I've had the fortune to meet him a couple of times, and the Chinese work that I've studied talks about Shen, which is the spirit, and your Shen shines through your eyes. That's hard to say. Shen shines through your eyes. He has the most sparkling, bright light coming out of his eyes. I've never, ever seen anyone with such, honestly, such a beauty emanating. His spirit is just amazing.
Totally. And also, Liz, before I let you go, I did cut you off at the beginning when you were telling us about what you'd studied with your Chinese medicine okay, good. I just realized that as you went back to that, I was like, oh, I never let Liz finish off telling us what she'd studied.
There's too many things to talk about, right?
I know, and I jumped right into it.
So I've done a lot of study around the 5 elements. So water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. So it's another way of looking at our psyche. So this comes from ancient Chinese, where initially they were looking at physical disease. So they would have so many people to work with. And when they looked at people, they would look at when they were born, what year, what month, what day they were born. And that would determine their inner energy. So the Chinese say you come into the world at a particular time, you come imprinted with the energy of that time. So they can have, we can have all 5 qualities, but some may be dominant. So that's our inner energy or our hidden self. And then we have the face, and all parts of the face reflect the 5 elements as well. So my face in particular has a very wood energy. So wood represents a whole lot of different things. And my inner energy is very strongly water, and this is very strongly wood. So my thing in life is to make sure that the wood doesn't dominate the water, and that there's space for both qualities of me to live harmoniously. And, everything is good, right? But everything can be out of balance. You can have something in excess or something in completion. So if my wood was in excess, that's not
no, Liz.
Space where...
Oops, we're freezing. It might be our cue to be like, it's a Saturday night. Liz might want to actually do something with her family, and it has gone. Let's stop this one. Stop stream.